Welcome back YouTube, 22K here, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. Something a little bit different, or not, it's a VR, or it might be a double VR. I'm always doing VRs, you know, it's what the channel's built on. That and toppers, top tens, that's what I'm known for. Because I've got no fucking other content, nothing else interesting to say. No, I'm joking. That's not about VRs, by the way, that's just topper stuff. Don't see many toppers, thank God, lately. Hidden gems. Shite. But this hopefully will be a VR to my old mate Stodger, Roger Retro, and I'm gonna kind of, because I think the two bleed for me, and it wasn't an open VR. I don't even think the guy wanted any responses in terms of a video response, but to my good mate Russell, the retro repair bear, that's his missus Claire. But to Russell, Retro Bear, I say to Rog. So Roger's was about why do you collect and some questions around why do you collect, and Russ's wasn't any. It wasn't a question. It was basically him just, in his own words, having a rant, having an event, I suppose. But for me, where he's at, I think it's kind of telling. And I think probably a lot of people have been through that and probably will go through that. So again, it forms part of the whole collecting, I don't know what you would call it, bubble, I suppose. Especially if you do YouTube or any sort of, I suppose, social media around your collection. I mean, a lot of people on Instagram, Insta and Twitter and X or whatever you want to call it. Well, I don't do that. I do a little bit of Facebook. That's basically just to buy shit. Essentially, I don't engage too much unless I'm taking the piss out of people on a certain fucking group. So my medium, I suppose, to express myself or to share the hobby has always been YouTube. I suppose it's a bit like, probably it's an age thing, right? You know, you wouldn't get your kids on Facebook now, would you? They're all on Snapchat or whatever. And so for us of a certain age, it was YouTube, and I suppose people for a certain age, Instagram and stuff like that. So that's, I'm just trying to frame this whole thing so it kind of makes some sense and I don't have to do two separate videos. So from a collecting perspective, like Roger asked, what do you collect? Well, fucking all sorts of shit. It's video games, okay? It's stuff from when I was a kid, stuff I never had, right? And again, I've probably touched on this loads of times before. You know, a very poor family, 6 of us. I didn't have a fucking pot to piss in. So a lot of this stuff is all the stuff that I couldn't ever have as a kid. That's what it is. It's me just being a fucking grown-up kid. And the stuff I've seen in magazines, or maybe seen in the arcades and they had the home port and stuff like that. Or seen in the shops. I watched Retro Ed's one. He made some really good salient points. You know, stuff you see in the Argos catalogue. We've all, if you're a certain age, like me, an old bastard, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sure we all feed into these exact same nostalgic moments and memories and stuff like that. It's all encompassing. It's everything. So, you know, in terms of the gaming side of things and the collecting and why this and why that and why not the other, I kind of had to put a lid on it, because it's space is space or money for most people. But you have to constrain yourself. You know, you have to give yourself limits and goals. I think goals are quite important, because otherwise you'll end up just buying any old shite, and then you'll look round it all, and again probably feeds in a little bit to Russ, where Russ is. You'll look round it all and just think, what does it all mean? What is it all for? And that's, you know, that's important. I think when you start off, if you find collecting, I suppose, or collecting kind of finds you, especially in the video game arena, and again probably touching on the sort of social media aspect, YouTube, Instagram, whatever, you'll find yourself drawn to certain aspects of it. You know, maybe the older stuff from when you were a kid, or stuff that you didn't have, like I say, or stuff that you wish you had, yada. So you'll accumulate that stuff, and then once you've maybe got those things, or you'll see other things. And you say, well, well, I can't remember that, but yeah, maybe I'll have a bit of that. And then you get balled up into the whole, sort of snowball effect of just buying stuff. So when Wodge talks about collecting, I think there has to be a distinction between collecting and hoarding. I don't know what the official version is. Maybe I think if you collect, it's an organised fucking mess. Whereas if you hoard, it's just disorganised. It's just chaos, isn't it? You don't know what you got. Nothing's in any order. There's no semblance of order at all. Now I would probably class myself as a collector, no doubt about it. I don't make no qualms about it. I'm not a gamer, like that sort of sense, because I'm getting on a bit. Right, time wise, not too bad. I do game, still game, but I game on the Switch mainly. That's a sort of modern platform of choice. I don't collect for the Switch. I haven't got to buy every Switch game that comes out or any of that nonsense. It's just a platform to play on. So from a collecting perspective, I kind of cut off at the sort of PlayStation 2, GameCube. I don't know what generation that is. I'm not that much of a fucking nerd. Someone will tell me. But that's it for me. That's where it stops. But everything below that is fair game, within reason. I don't collect any of the 8 or 16-bit micros, which really is what I grew up with. I did used to have quite a lot of it, and I sold it all off because I had to decide what I was interested in, what I really was passionate about, what I wanted to collect for. And so systems hold nostalgia. Some things hold nostalgia because I never had them, like the Sega Saturn. I'm looking at it there because it's behind me there. It's one of those consoles that no one I knew even had one. I never even played on one. Mega CD, the same as that. But the real thing for me was always Nintendo. It was always the Super Nintendo. That was like at the pinnacle, I suppose, of my sort of when I was a gamer. Because when we were younger, we were all kind of gamers, and that's where that fits in to the whole sort of story. And for me, what else did he say? Oh, that's about 10 years. So for me, that kind of then informed when I started doing YouTube, in terms of like what I wanted to sort of come across, what the whole point of it all is. The point is, it's just my journey. It's just my collection. I've always said that this channel is nothing more than just it's a vlog. That's what YouTube was all about, wasn't it? YouTube, I'm not not here to sell myself. I'm not here to want from anything from any of you guys. I've always said that this is not what it's about. It's just my journey, and however wherever that takes me. So from that end, in terms of the stuff that's in here, it's very much what I would class myself to be passionate about. It's what I'm interested. Nothing in here has been bought, and again, this feeds in a little bit to Russ's sort of video, because I think he was kind of that way. Nothing's been bought here just to make videos for, and people fall into that trap. Again, going back to the hoarding stage, you'll accumulate stuff just because it's there and it's cheap. But you'll do that as well just to make videos. We all know there's people out there that do that. I'll go and buy Xbox games, even though I'm meant to be retro. Then you start buying £1 Xbox and PS3 games because you've got to feed the beast, because you've then got to make content, and then it becomes a chore. And again, this is what I think Russ was sort of talking about, where he feels a little bit not drained or burnt, but he feels an obligation to YouTube and to people that watch him. And that's a sort of trap, I suppose, or whatever you want to call it, that a lot of people get into. The good mate Dazco Jones always said it best, and I'll always quote him on this because I think it hits an nail on the head. YouTube then becomes a hobby. Just making the videos becomes a hobby, and we all know there's people out there that then it becomes their job, which is basically begging people for money. Which I've never really understood. It's like literally you are begging, and I'm not. You are fucking begging. It's begging, but with that, then it becomes a dependency. So you have a dependency to make YouTube videos because that's what you're relying on. Your passion for the arse falls out of it, and we know there's people, and he doesn't watch this anyway. So Bithead 1000 is a classic case. I mean, I watched that guy for the best part of a decade, and soon as he went Patreon started monetizing it, the arse fell out of the videos. The content was just regurgitated, made up stories, embellished stories, because they had to feed the machine, you know, chucking anything and anything at the channel to make a video, because he feels obliged and inclined to keep it going, because people are paying him, you know. And just flipping it back to sort of where probably Russ might be a little bit, he's probably feeling not the same pressures, but maybe a similar thing where I think he said he felt like he was a fraud and stuff like that. But to be honest, Russ, if you're making YouTube for you and you're not making it to be famous and to be rich and popular and be an influencer and all that kind of stuff, then that's the right reasons. Whether you make a video once a week, once a month, once every 6 months, once a year, it don't matter, does it? Because it's your stuff, it's your channel. You know, it's probably likened to an old friend. You don't see him for 5 years. It's no different. You don't hold grudges to people. That's how I see it anyway. I'd prefer people to be real, to be honest, and just sort of say, yeah, you know, I was just chilling, I didn't feel like it, got to be in the mood. Again, those people that are in this space that do YouTube, if you're genuine, you know when you feel it, and you don't want to force it. It's got to be right. Like I'm doing now, I haven't made a video for probably like maybe a month and a half, or I don't know how long it's been. Lots been going on, but I felt like, you know, I feel like making a video, and that's kind of how I've rolled. Don't get me wrong, back in the early days when I was going car booting and that, you know, I had the buzz and there was always stuff to find, you know, out in the wild, not staged, fake stuff. Literally, you find it out in the wild, and it was exciting. It was exciting to show people what you'd found. But you know, again, I could probably go out and do that, and I could show you all this shit here, but it's crap. I wouldn't get excited about seeing it, so I'm not going to show you. Again, for me, switching it back again to Rog in terms of what you collect and stuff, you know, I've shifted the way I've had to shift, because the way the collection is, the shiny things that I like now, that I want to add to the collection, they're not cheap. They're not cheap, and you have to find means and ways. Now, again, feeds into the good and the bad of the collector. I think that was one of the questions. You know, some people say the bad thing is the money. Well, it's as cheap or as expensive as you want to make it, within reason. Okay, so you know, some people give themselves a budget. That's how much I've got to spend. And I used to say to people, well, if that's your budget, and they used to buy reproduction things, or they used to, like, again, going back to the PS3 and Xbox stuff, they'd be buying hordes of shit just to make a video to show it, and they've got no real attachment to it. Well, you're better off just that little pot of money, just keep it, and then keep it for 2 months, and then buy something that really means something to you. And you see that difference when they make the video and they show the item that they kind of actually really did want. And I get it. It's so easily done. It's so easily done. Back, you know, when I first started doing it, it was probably akin to PS2. PS2 was not very well liked, for the same reasons probably. And I get it now when I look back. I'm not a hypocrite. It's just that's 2020 vision. That's hindsight. You know what I mean? And it's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the collecting. And I guess in 10 years' time, I don't know, what do you say? Habits. Where are you going to be in 10 years' time? Well, kind of like skewing that question a little bit. There'll be people that be showing, like Big Game Al, showing his fucking 360 collection. Well, he's probably sold it by now. But there'll be people that will look at that and go, oh my God, it'd be like having a full SNES collection to us. You get what I mean? But that whole hobby has evolved from that. So before us, there wasn't any, this didn't exist. There wasn't any retro gaming. We are the pioneers. You know, I always sort of say this, we had the best of everything. From an arcade, from my home consoles, we had all the best of the console wars. We've seen the best of whatever, and the evolution, we've seen it all. So in 10 years' time, from a collecting perspective, it ain't going to be much different for me, because there's no way in hell I'm going to start collecting for PS3 and Xbox 360. It just doesn't. Anything with HDMI, I don't class as retro. That's just personally. But for me, it will just be filling gaps. It will just be getting some of those sort of grail, unquote, grail items. And the way I'm doing it is, again, like I was sort of going to refer to, is all this crap. I just stall out now. A lot of you guys will probably, you know, if you find something cheap or whatever, you probably sell it on eBay. And I've said this before, I just keep it and I take it to an event, you know, whenever they are, once every couple of months, and I stall out. And that money, which then becomes a bigger pot of money, I can then use to invest into stuff that I really do like. But equally, sort of feeding back into the questions, and Ed made a good point about this, and I'm guessing everybody else will, it's the social aspect. It's the kind of, especially as you get a bit older, it's giving your mind something to do. Not keeping active as such, but giving you a purpose, a sense of purpose. And I think collecting does that. Whatever it might be, you know, toys, comics, action figures, whatever, man. I think we're all cut of the same cloth. It's just the nature of what you collect is slightly different, and the different nuances. But there's a slew of traits that run through all of us. There's no doubt about it. The social aspect, keeping your mind active, giving you a sense of purpose, I suppose. And maybe I think that's where Russ might be being a little bit, feel like lost at sea somewhat. And when people get to that stage, when they look round and he sort of says, you know, I feel like a fraud, or I've got all these games, and he feels like he owes a debt to someone, or to us, or to whoever's watching. He maybe feels like his channel's stalled. Mine's stalled for the last fucking 10 years. Ain't got any bigger. And you do see other channels and you think, well, why are they more popular, and why aren't my stuff's the same as them? And again, I keep mentioning this guy, Kev over at Area Access 6. There's nothing different to anybody, probably in his own words, probably less impressive in terms of his editing, but it's not about that. And Goldtooth mentioned it. It's nice to see. It really is. And does it give you faith? Does it give you hope? Well, I've been around. I've seen it all before. So to me, I get it. It's just the look of the draw. And that's all it is, guys. And to be honest, you have to crack America. If the Americans aren't watching, you'll just bob. You'll bob and weave. But again, what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? You're doing it for yourself. If you're doing it for yourself, it don't matter then, does it? You know, if YouTube's still around in 30, 40 years, or when I'm gone, someone might be watching my videos, and you know, they might think, you know, you get what I mean. So it might just be your legacy of your journey, of your vlogs, of your videos, whatever you want to term them. But if you're doing it for other reasons, you know, and again, I'm not a fan of it, guys, and I'll keep saying it forever and a day. I don't like the money side of it. I think the monetary side of this whole sort of the social media side of it all, it's fucking vile. And again, it probably comes into the good and the bad. To me, that's a real bad part of it, because you do get bad actors in here. You do get fake people that come along that don't really give a shit about the sort of community, or whatever you want to call it. I could spot them a mile off. They've got no, they're leeching off the back of it. I see them all the time, and they do the sort of professional way of doing it. And yeah, you'll see them climb, and everyone's like, oh. But if you watch the stuff, or if you know anything about them, it's all bollocks. It's all the stuff. They're jumping on trends. They're flip flopping in their content and what they're allegedly collecting for, and etc. because they just have to feed the beast. That's all it is. And again, go back from Mate Daz. YouTube becomes a hobby. They might as well just be collecting fucking milk bottle tops for what it is, because the soul has gone. And again, refer back to Bithead. Anybody's watched him for any length of time, you'd be stupid not to see that the soul of him just fucking left his body. And you hear him now. He's a broken man, because he has to do this now. He has to do YouTube because his life is built around that funding from it. And you'll hear him say it. Oh, if I have to quit this, I'll have to get a second job. really, just to stop making videos, you've got to get a second. You see what I mean? And that to me is this bullshit. That's bullshit. So Russ, mate, I think you're just going through a blip. And unfortunately, what happens to some people when they go through those blips is they look around and go, "What is it all for? What am I doing here?" And then it all gets sold. And I was kind of thinking that's the route he was going down. I hope it's not, because you will regret it. If you don't need to financially sell it, mate, don't. If you've got the capacity to keep it, I used to say this to everybody: stick it in the box, stick it in the loft, just put it outside, out of mind, do something else. Because again, coming back to the collecting side of it, once you're a collector, I don't think it ever leaves you. I don't think it ever really does. You just find other outlets, perhaps. I remember Quinny. Loved his games, but loved his figures as well, his Star Wars stuff, and he just went off and started collecting Star Wars and whatnot. I don't think it ever leaves you, realistically. But I just hope that Russ doesn't sort of not call it quits, but just sort of hoik it all in, maybe take it. And that's the probably worst thing. Again, look, I like the guys that got all the shops and stuff, but when I hear about people just taking the collections into those and it's like 50% of the value, and I get it, you get the bulk money up front, but oh man, from what I know now from doing the markets and stuff, the social side of it as well, it does reinvigorate. It gives me a different angle, I suppose, as well. And again, some people have mentioned the social side from it. The friends you make, the people you meet along the way, and it is all part of the journey. I don't know what corny lines that people use, but it is that. I mean, I've made friends now for life, probably, maybe not, because some people do fall out with you, believe it or not. There are some grown ass men that are petty as hell, and they will fall out with you. Maybe not even something that you've even said. It might be someone that you were just near, happened to be near, who said it, and you get tarred with the same brush. But that's how it goes. I've fallen out with people, but I've fallen out with people for what I would justify as valuable reasons. In that they said they were the duplicitous. They said that they were here for a certain reason, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm at a certain point, I'm going to switch the fucking cash generator on, and it's all about the money. And they start flirting, and you see them start gravitating towards the ilk of the community that literally that's all they do is just beg people for money, go on camera, cry, disaster, give me money, rinse and repeat. And it's just not for me. I just think I find them false. I find them two-faced. I just think they're fucking vile. And again, it comes down to the money. There's no money in this, as in money to be made from making videos. You wouldn't see them for fucking shit. You really wouldn't. There'd be fucking nowhere near. So, just going back to Russ, honestly, mate, just fucking take a breather, brother. Take a breather. Give yourself a couple of months, 6 months, whatever. I know you said you're going on holiday or whatever, but just do that. Anybody who's feeling like that, just do that. Don't sell your stuff, for God's sake. Don't sell your stuff. Just stick it away if you can and leave it be. That'd be my advice. What else do we say? Yeah, so I do see when I say I'm mainly video games. I will show you because I've not showed these before. I'll cut now, and I'll show you I have got a thing for Indiana Jones. It kind of just evolved, I suppose, somewhat. It's like, what time are you on? 24. I might bore you with the Indiana Jones thing to finish off, because I'm a kid of the 80s, born in 76. Believe it or not, me and Russ are to the same age. It's always amazing. Me and Russ, I think we could have been in the same school year, I think. So toys, action figures, same as retro ed, probably a lot of us are the same age. They were all the thing, and I do have massive nostalgia for them, but I just don't have the space. When I used to go to car butchers, see them all the time. Action Man, Action Force, G.I. Joe, like Thunder, all of it, the whole lot. But you got to give yourself, I told you, you've got to constrict yourself, got to give yourself goals, give yourself a framework to work against. So in the Indiana Jones thing was really the strangest thing. It really started with the point and click adventure game, the Indiana Jones Last Crusade. Never played a point and click adventure game before up until that point, and it just engaged me, and I don't know why. So I got really into that game and into that movie. The movie's a great movie anyway. Some people probably don't like it out of the trilogy, but for me, I think it's the better movie out of the two. Forget about the other ones. But that's partly because of the game. But the game then inspired me to look at Egyptology, and so I even went to Egypt when I was younger and went all the way through Karnak, looks at everything. It just literally, it sort of sparked something in me. I don't know why. So ever since then, I've always had a fascination with Indiana Jones. Like I said, the first three movies and everything to do with it. So when they re-released all the action figures, I bought them all. I'll show you the figures at the end, and you'll see, because I've never showed them before, and a few of the little bits as well at the time, because I went through that little phase, I suppose, and they were all released at the same time as well. But you'll see them. So to wrap it up, for me, what I collect and why I collect, and why I do YouTube, they're all intrinsically linked. They're one of the same thing. Now, is that to sort of say, oh, if I stop YouTube, would all this go? No, it wouldn't. That's not what it was. I was doing this before I went onto YouTube. You know, I was watching YouTube. Again, I've mentioned this story a million times. It wouldn't change because it's the truth. I was watching arcade room tours in America with the big massive basements, the bastards. And I can't remember who it was. I'd love to know, but must have been one or two videos I've watched, and they had video games. They had NES and Genesis games and stuff like that, Super Nintendo games, and that's what started the whole thing off for me. I was like, oh yeah, you know, I remember that, and that's the inspiration, I suppose. So if YouTube stopped, no, this would probably all still be here. It's probably going to get left to the kids, but I don't think they'll be interested. So it might be the case if I get to a certain point, and it will all probably get sold, and then I'll go on a cruise for the rest of my life, like, because that's the cheapest way to live, isn't it? So yeah, YouTube, blessing and curse, as is collecting. Blessing and curse in equal measures. It gives me a sense of purpose. You know, like on a Saturday morning, it gives me a reason to get up, have a walk around town. Again, socialise, interact with people at the charity shops up in town. Otherwise, I'd be sat, and I think Russ mentioned this on a Saturday morning. He gets up and he doesn't want to do anything. He just wants to just plonks himself in front of the TV, and you know, it's that impetus, it's that sort of thrill of the chase, I suppose. And I know he used to do it. Russ, you used to do it. You used to go, you know, on the bus to different towns and cities, okay, looking for cheap wee shit. He obviously stopped doing that, but you just need to try and recapture that, I suppose. I used to get the actual thought of going to the car boot on a Sunday. You know, you used to get butterflies. What am I going to find? What am I going to find? I've kind of lost that now, because the reality is there's probably very little there. But again, it was still a purpose. So I think the collecting, the hobby, and YouTube, you know, some people will like making the videos. You know, there's people that make a video about anything and anything, about one game, but it gives them a purpose. So from the hobby perspective, I think it is a benefit and a boon, but also a curse in equal measures, and you've got to get that balance right. Because if you flip it too far one way, you get the burnout, and if you go the other way, you just get despondent and you just lack any interest. So bit of a rant, half an hour rant. I don't know if that's useful to anybody. Might be giving insight into my weird brain, if nothing else. But other than that, YouTube, stick around, I'll show you the toys. Take it easy and speak to you soon. Right, here we go, boys. So this is the full run of all of the latest or the last Hasbro Indiana Jones figure sets. They've not been opened. They probably never will be opened. So also we've got what they call the retro collection. So they did these at the Kenner by Hasbro. The original ones of those are really hard. I think they're a US exclusive. What I also bought was the whole run of Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeons and Dragons figures there. So, you know, Avenger, etc. Uni. Yeah. So they're all the old gangs there. So that is my little sort of wall of collectibles. I mean, I had the Wii U stuff up there, but these boxes are lovely. The boxes are probably better than most things. I mean, I do love Henry Jones. It's probably one of my favourite characters. I've got a big statue of him, but I can't. Those that used to watch my channel years ago, when I was in the blast furnace, you'll recognise him. In fact, pack him away. Packed him away years ago because I just didn't have the space. But yeah, it's the full run. I mean, to be honest, you know, these may go back into storage. They may go into storage, and something else might take their place because I am pretty chocker. Here we go. Look, impromptu tour. I mean, you'll see shit everywhere. I don't think I've ever showed. I mean, as far as the eye can see all the shit. There's piles of stuff everywhere. Because like I say, I'm getting into the buying and doing the markets and stuff. You know, who wants a PlayStation? There's just crap everywhere. It's actually tidier. It's tidier than it's been for a long time at the minute. But this is the room here. Just a quick spin round look. Yeah. And there you go. Look, there's a PC Engine, NES. Those are the last remaining NES ones. Dunk up to there. There's no box for that. No, I'm not getting a Miracle Piano box. Stack Up's probably out there, but questions. There's only those ones there. These are all US games, by the way. PlayStation. The mighty PC Engine. Mega CD. Atari 7800. And the first set I ever completed was the Master System. A lot of fun memories of the Master System. That's all Mega Drive. That's a full Mega Drive set, all hidden in behind all that. It's more like storage shelves. I used to tinker. There's all cleaning shit. PS2. PS2 seems to be the flavour of the month. Mine's all hidden down here. I mean, I've got some right old gems in there. There's not much shit in the PS2 collection. I'll tell you that much now, because that has been really thinned out. Same with the PS1. But anyway, guys, look, that's it from me. I'm not really sure what I'm going to title the video as. It's a bit of a mishmash. It's a bit of a ramble. It's a bit of a talky video. For those that are interested. GameCube there, look. Saturn there. Atari, Super Famicom. NES. Super NES. And 64. Yeah, we've got it all. We've got it all and we've got nothing. Anyway. Take it easy. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.